Today I want to look at this video from the YouTube channel Breaking Points. Populist left, populist right, coming together to take on the establishment. As you can see, this video was put up 8 days ago, 68,000 views. This channel has over 1 million subscribers. Titled Amazon Sued Over Prime Cancellation Tricks. So let's check it out. Whoops, forgot to turn on the audio.
FTC is upping the ante against Amazon. Let's put this up on the screen from the New York Times. Their headline here is FTC sues Amazon for tricking users into subscribing to Prime. The lawsuit is the first time that the Federal Trade Commission under its chair, Lena Khan, has taken Amazon to court. We have the perfect person to break down.
Okay, so are we getting this? The FTC is suing Amazon because they're tricking users into subscribing on Amazon Prime. And if you read the article, it reports that Amazon looks like has 200 million customers, 200 million subscribers, it looks like. So what, am I supposed to believe that a significant amount, I guess even a tiny amount, would amount to millions of customers? But these people, they were just sitting there, minding their own business, and then big bad Amazon just waltzed on in and they tricked, hoodwinked, bamboozled them, schemed them into signing up for an Amazon Prime subscription. Is that what's going on? Well, if you read the lawsuit report, whatever it's called, the New York Times attached the PDF, and what they consider to be trickery, as you can see, they consider Amazon's upselling tactics to be a form of trickery. And you can see some of the screenshots in this PDF document. Basically, what they're saying is when a non-Prime subscriber tries to buy something on Amazon, when they're in the middle of checking out, Amazon tries to upsell them to a Prime subscription. And they do this by saying, hey, you know, you can save a little bit of money, get a free 2-day delivery, and they really emphasize the options for upselling, as you can see with the yellow button. Whereas the no thanks option, it's not as emphasized. It's not in a nice, bright, beautiful yellow button. Consumers cannot view the full text beneath the no thanks link without scrolling or clicking the sticky footer arrow. However, consumers can enroll in Prime by selecting the large yellow get free 2-day delivery with Prime button without scrolling. I guess this is what they consider to be trickery. Amazon's upselling tactics. And Amazon is not the only company that does stuff like this. Chewy does stuff like this. Whenever you try to order something, they try to offer you a subscribe and save option. Travel websites do this all the time when they try to sell you stuff like travel insurance. You can maybe say that these tactics are annoying, obnoxious, maybe a little tiny bit inconvenient. But to call it fraud or trickery, I think is to have an incredibly low expectation of customers. Basically, what the FTC is demanding of businesses like Amazon is to expect that their customers not know how to read. At least that's what I'm getting from this. And if customers don't know how to read, don't know how to what? Read a no thanks button and click on it, then how are they able to navigate the internet in the first place? Keep in mind that we're talking about Amazon, which started out as a bookstore. Amazon should not expect their customers know how to read. Is that what I'm supposed to expect? Get the fuck out of here.
What exactly this action means. We've got Matt Stollers, the Director of Research at the American Economic Liberties Project, and also author of the Big Substack. So just give us a sense of what this is all about and some of the details that were contained in this lawsuit.
Basically, this is a lawsuit about how it's almost impossible to cancel your Prime subscription.
Almost impossible to cancel?
Because Amazon has all sorts of tricks and traps to...
Yeah, tricks and traps.
Keep you subscribed. And when you read the complaint, it's kind of it's kind of amazing that Amazon has an internal name for the process of canceling Prime called Project Iliad, which is the long. It's a story, the Greek story about the long, the Trojan War and how long and difficult it was, and so it's a consumer deception claim about Amazon trying.
So they call it Project Iliad because they expect your cancellation to be this long labyrinth of a journey. Now, I thought about testing this out myself. I thought about canceling my own Amazon Prime subscription. There's only one problem, is that I don't really want to rock that boat because I happen to really like my Amazon subscription, have a lot of perks and rewards that I've racked up, and I just don't want to mess with it. However, I have other reasons to be a little skeptical of this claim. One of which is that over the years, there have been numerous articles written for sites like Business Insider back in September of 2021 by Ben Gilbert titled, "I canceled my Amazon Prime subscription right as the pandemic lockdowns began nearly 2 years later. I do not miss it at all." And from reading this article, I did not really find anything about how much of a hassle it was to cancel the Amazon subscription. There was even this article I found on Mashable, written just a year ago, June 16, 2022, by Keith Wagstaff, titled, "I canceled my Amazon Prime membership. You can too." Well, the way he frames that, it makes it sound like it's easy. And again, this is another article. You would think if it's so difficult, such a hassle to cancel your Amazon Prime subscription, you would think that some of these reporters who have been bragging about canceling their Amazon subscription, you think they would have mentioned it in one of these articles. There have even been many YouTube videos, tutorials explaining how easy it is to cancel your Amazon Prime subscription. Other YouTubers have talked about why they've canceled Amazon. Don't really to mention how much of a hassle it's been. And I guess this is what the FTC is going after Amazon for. They're just tricking their hundreds of millions of subscribers into getting an Amazon subscription, and then they make it impossible to cancel.
Amazon trying to, they also trick people into signing up in certain ways. But it's essentially, it's like a user interface deceptive claim. But behind it is this recognition that Prime is a really core part of how Amazon runs its business and also controls pricing almost throughout the entire economy.
They control pricing throughout the entire economy.
And that is what I find really interesting about the problem.
Yeah, so you've done a very popular segment here for us before.
It's interesting how they casually pivot from the lawsuit to talking about pricing and whatnot.
On Prime, can you explain some of the issues with Prime from an anti-competitive perspective?
Anti-competitive.
So much more. Just get into it with us.
Right. So Prime is about 150, 200 million members. And Amazon gets about $25 billion a year in subscription revenue from Prime. But that's not really, that money is not what Prime is about. Prime is a market allocation mechanism. So Amazon, when you sign up for Prime, you start ordering a lot more stuff through Amazon. And then that gives Amazon power over entities that want to sell you stuff.
Gives them power.
So if you have
now you're playing with power.
150 million Prime members, Amazon can then go to every consumer packaged good company, every sneaker company, every third-party seller and say, hey, if you want access to these Prime members, if you want your product to be what's called Prime eligible.
You mentioned sneaker companies. I think one of the articles I read mentions that Nike pulled its products from Amazon because they didn't like playing Amazon's game, I guess. So do they really have that much power?
Then you have to pay these fees. You have to use our logistics business. You have to advertise.
So yeah, I guess sellers, they have to use Amazon's logistics and they're expected to pay fees.
On Amazon advertising. And that raises prices on Amazon and is like a $150 billion of free cash flow. That's
$150 billion in free cash flow from these fees, I guess. Keep this in mind because we will come back to it.
coming to Amazon. Then Amazon forces those producers, those packaged good producers, those third-party sellers, to sign a deal called a price parity agreement, where they agree not to sell for lower prices off of Amazon. So even if I could sell, say, my sneakers for cheaper through my own website, because I don't have to pay the 40% fee that I would ordinarily have to pay through Amazon, I'm not allowed to, or Amazon will strip my ability to sell through Amazon. And since to reach those 150, 200 million people, I have to sell through Amazon, I can't afford to lower my price elsewhere. So that is the dynamic, and that actually pushes prices up everywhere in the economy. People think when they go onto Amazon, I'm getting the lowest prices, and they are, but that's only because Amazon forces everyone, or they have so much power that they force everyone to raise prices off of Amazon.
Matt.
So this whole notion that Amazon is driving up prices throughout the economy, I'm a little skeptical, to say the least. I think Mr. Stoller is stretching. First off, a few years ago, PBS Frontline did a whole documentary on Amazon, right here, as you can see. And this documentary, it's not exactly a puff piece about Amazon, and I think they do bring up some legitimate concerns and criticisms about the company, for what it's worth. But at a certain point, around the 54-minute mark, and I'm not going to play it because I'm afraid of getting smacked by the copyright enforcers on YouTube. But so check this out for yourself. But at a certain point, they bring up the issue of monopoly and antitrust. And if you watch it, they talk about a reason why Amazon has avoided antitrust persecution over the years is because antitrust enforcers over the last few decades have adopted this approach of, hey, if a company is big, if they dominate a market or whatever, as long as they keep prices low for consumers, we're not going to go after them. And that's why Amazon has avoided a lot of the antitrust crusaders. Now, keep in mind that Stoller does not really bring in any evidence. He just throws out some hypotheticals and draws conclusions from it. So, excuse me.
Well, excuse me, princess.
If I'm going to respond to this by bringing in anecdotal evidence, but also I cannot really find much data on this point. But first off, number one, there have been many times where I have found a particular product on Amazon and I thought to myself, that seems a little too high. Maybe I should look elsewhere and see if I can get a better deal. And oftentimes I have, notably with websites like Walmart and Chewy. They offer free delivery on orders more than $50. And I've often turned away from Amazon to their competitors to save some money. So I do think that this assertion that they drive up prices throughout the economy is probably exaggerated. Two, there have been times where Amazon has saved me money even when I'm not buying from Amazon. There have been times where I've been at big box stores like Best Buy and I see a video game or some other product that I'm interested in and I see the price and I look on Amazon. I check Amazon first to see if I can get a better deal, and sometimes I've seen it where it's $5, $10 cheaper. And I grab an associate at the store and I say, hey, do you guys price match? You do? Good. Here's the price on Amazon. If you don't price match, I'm walking out and ordering it on Amazon. There have been multiple times where I've saved money doing this, where the store will match the price. And I'm not even buying from Amazon again, but I am using Amazon to save me some money. Three, there have been times where I do get really good deals on Amazon. Amazon often runs this promotion where if you buy $50 or more in Amazon brand products, they'll knock 20% off your order. I often take advantage of that when I can. And on top of that, when you order from Amazon, especially when you do this deal that I'm talking about, they'll offer you delayed shipping instead of 2-day shipping in exchange for some e-credits that you can use on renting movies, buying Kindle ebooks and whatnot, which I gladly take advantage of. So again, I know that a lot of this is anecdotal.
Well, excuse me, princess.
But I have a hard time buying this notion that Amazon drives up prices throughout the economy.
Obviously, I'm very sympathetic to your views here. In fact, I completely agree with you. But let me play a devil's advocate and say, hey, a lot of people like Prime. A lot of people like Amazon. A lot of people think it's great that they can push a button on their phone and, you know, their socks or whatever it is they just ordered shows up at their house. Like,
hell yeah.
You're goddamn right.
And I'd say that's probably the biggest appeal of Amazon is not necessarily the pricing, but just the convenience.
like literally a day later and for a reasonable price. What do you say to them? Because when you do look at surveys, Amazon has very high sort of like favorability rating among the American public who do appreciate the ease of the service.
I mean, they only have what, again, 200 million, 150 to 200 million subscribers?
Amazon's great. I mean, I use Amazon and
so he uses Amazon. I wonder if he got bamboozled or tricked into using Amazon.
There's no reason. I mean, there are a lot of problems and I could nitpick, but like, yeah, the basic premise is it's, you know, people use it because it's convenient. And the point is that like, even though it's convenient and they're powerful, they shouldn't be able to keep prices for goods and services higher than they otherwise would be. Like, why is it okay for Amazon to force sneakers to be 40% more expensive?
40% more expensive. Again, I have a hard time believing this.
Than they should be, like just by using these techniques.
I often buy shoes on Amazon because whenever I go to the mall, I notice that they're priced higher at the mall.
There's nothing inherent to the service.
But maybe that's Amazon driving up prices throughout the entire economy.
It forces that. So if you just got rid of their ability to, say, keep prices higher than they otherwise would be, Amazon would still exist. People would still be able to, you know, get the convenience from Amazon. It's just that then they would have to compete with companies that could then sell stuff for
they do compete.
A better pricing. So I guess that's how I'd respond. It's like there's nothing inherent to it's like a baggage fee on an airline. Like you don't necessarily need a baggage. Like there's nothing inherent to the technology of flight that requires a baggage fee. There's just some.
Funny brings up airlines because that is an area of the economy that has a lack of competition. It's not because of big scary monopolies. But rather because of cabotage restrictions on international competitors.
That's just not smart.
Business practices we can change.
Yes, I think that's really well said. And what does a happy medium look like for what like e-commerce and all that should be? And what is Lena Khan trying to get to?
Speaking of Lena Khan, from what I can tell, Lena Khan, even according to this New York Times article, she's been a big crusader against big tech over the years, as you can see from the article right here. But even back in 2017, she wrote this long essay, which I've only read bits and pieces of, about Amazon's antitrust paradox. So it looks to me like Lena Khan, the current head of the FTC, who is leading this lawsuit, it looks like she's had a hard-on for Amazon and big tech in general for a few years, to say the least.
The medium is where, you know, Amazon is this wonderful infrastructure and people and firms can use it to transact as a marketplace, but without being manipulated, right? And so they use it
They're manipulating.
In a kind of a neutral way, a little bit like the post office. You know, Amazon will make its money. They'll charge their fees for using their service.
Charge fees for using service.
But they won't actually be able to pick and choose winners. They will have to compete on better service and better pricing like everybody else. And then, you know, you'll have other, you know, marketplaces that come on that are differentiated, that maybe offer different service levels or different pricing terms. And right now we don't have that. We don't have like, you know, companies coming in saying like, buy through me instead of buying through Amazon and you get like 30% off. Like you've never seen that kind of offer. And
well, if they did that, they might be accused of predatory pricing. As Lena Khan brings up in her essay often.
You should see that kind of offer because that is economically possible. It's just that extra money is now going to Amazon and it shouldn't.
Yeah.
The extra money is going to Amazon when it shouldn't. Why don't they just charge, you know, just to operate the logistics and the infrastructure and whatnot? And my question is, how do we know that Amazon is not already doing this with the fees that they charge? Mr. Solar seems to imply that all of these fees that they charge is just free money. Recall earlier when he framed the $150 billion in revenue that they get off of this as being free money. Sounds like a lot of money, doesn't it? Just $150 billion in free money. He's making it sound like Amazon could just maybe drop these large fees or whatever, or significantly reduce them. And then small businesses can make more money, customers can enjoy even lower prices, and then everyone wins. But no. Amazon is just charging these fees so that they can make extra money. And I don't know what Amazon does with all of this revenue that they charge vendors for, this $150 billion in free money. But judging from data on macro trends, as you can see, they do bring in a lot of revenue every year. In 2020, Amazon had an annual revenue of $386 billion. 2021, that increased to roughly $470 billion. In 2022, it increased to roughly $514 billion. And even if you look at the chart, the first quarter of this year in 2023, they already brought in $127.35 billion in revenue. Now we got to ask, how much in profits are they making off of this? From what I can tell, only a tiny sliver when we look at their net income. In 2020, they made roughly $21.33 billion on the $386 billion in revenue. In 2021, they only made $33.36 billion on, what was it, $470 billion in revenue. And even last year, despite bringing in a record, $514 billion, over $500 billion in revenue, Amazon lost $2.7 billion on the year. So again, it looks like they only make a tiny sliver, and going back to the first quarter of this year, $127 billion in revenue. They only made $3 billion. So less than 3% in profits off of the revenue that they brought in at Amazon. So again, I don't know what all of that revenue is spent on, but it looks to me like Amazon cannot go without the $150 billion in free cash flow without going into a deep, deep hole. With that said, I don't really buy this analysis that I'm seeing from Breaking Points. Either way, I guess we'll see what happens with this FTC lawsuit, but from what I can tell, the FTC chair, Lena Khan, is grasping at straws, looking for a reason to shake Amazon down.